Tony Khan comments on MJF's current status with All Elite Wrestling after he was removed from the AEW roster page amid rumours that his contract with AEW may have expired. Matt Striker causes controversy regarding his comments about Matt Riddle during his return to MLW last night while Striker was on commentary. Chris Jericho's next match in All Elite Wrestling has been revealed, but his name was booed last night on AEW Collision. Ric Flair appeared last night on Collision, and Sting had a tag team match involving Darby Allin. Adam Copeland faced off against Griff Garrison in an impromptu match last night on Collision. Eddie Kingston retains his Continental Championship. Hook calls out Samo Jo, possibly the first challenger for Joe's AEW World Championship. And the House of Black give FTR a unique 10-bow salute to close out the Collision show. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's start off talking about Tony Khan and his comments regarding the former AEW World Champion MJF. Now, MJF hasn't been seen on AEW television since last weekend's World's End pay-per-view. At the time, it was reported that his contract was set to expire on January 1st, leading to speculation he could leave the promotion. MJF's profile has since been removed from the AEW roster page on its website, and Tony Khan is choosing to remain tight-lipped about the star's current status, saying, quote, "I can say MJF certainly has been a great part of AEW for the first 5 years," Khan told Going Ringside. And though those 5 years, certainly he's been one of our great homegrown stars, and he's somebody we really value. And I would love to have MJF in AEW in the future, should the contractual situation allow. While Khan's comments suggest that MJF has yet to sign a new deal with AEW, he might have already. It was recently reported that he extended his AEW stay well before January 1st. In fact, it was reported that he possibly signed an extension to his AEW contract back in 2022 when he returned at the All Out pay-per-view in Chicago, of course infamously the night of the Brawl Out saga. And the ambiguity surrounding his future reportedly could possibly be being played up for storyline purposes. The latest episode of AEW Dynamite saw Adam Cole and the Undisputed Kingdom discuss their desire to rid AEW of MJF once and for all, so there is a built-in storyline for him to return to should his future be with Tony Khan's promotion. Regardless of his future destination in wrestling, it remains to be seen when the former AEW World Champion will return to action. MJF is currently injured after suffering a torn labrum, which could require surgery and put him on the shelf for up to or possibly even longer than 6 months. That said, it's unknown if MJF will go down that route or seek alternative treatment and rehab options that will allow him to return to the screens before then. So if we get any more details on that, we'll let you know. But what are your thoughts on MJF's contract? Is he gone from AEW? Is he going to go from AEW? Or is this just a big storyline? Let me know your thoughts about that in the comment section below. Now, there was some controversy last night when it comes to Matt Riddle's debut, or at least return rather, with Major League Wrestling. Of course, Matt Riddle stirred controversy in WWE due to his out-of-ring behavior, ultimately resulting in his surprising departure last year. He already made his return, an in-ring return at MLW this week, and during the match, a former WWE personality made it clear he couldn't believe that WWE had fired Riddle. It was previously confirmed that the original Bro would be joining Major League Wrestling, something that fans were very surprised about as they expected him to possibly debut with an AEW or an Impact Wrestling or a company of that size. The King of Bros returned to action after his WWE release in September last year. He faced Jacob Fatu at the Major League Wrestling's Kings of Coliseum event at the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the former ECW arena. This was last night, Saturday, January 6, 2024. He would also pick up the victory in the end. But at one point during the match, MLW announcer and ex-WWE personality, commentator, and superstar Matt Striker gave a ton of props to Matt Riddle, but then also questioned why WWE would ever release Riddle despite the latter's personal issues and controversy surrounding the star. Here's what Matt Striker had to say about Riddle.
He's from another world. How do you let this guy go? This guy is a star, a mega $1 million star. I don't care what he does. How do you let him go? This is our coup de grace right here.
Now, obviously, this generated a ton of controversy online considering the reasons surrounding Matt Riddle's WWE departure, as well as other controversies he's been involved in outside of the ring, namely being involved in the speaking out movement back in 2020. So this generated, as I mentioned, a lot of controversy and a lot of backlash towards not only Riddle, but also Matt Striker for his comments. Matt Striker has since apologized for what he said on social media, saying the following, quote, "I've given this a lot of thought, could not sleep. My critics are right, I was wrong, tone deaf. Trying to use the guise of art or character portrayal is self-preservation. Thank you to those that shone the light on this. It's now on me to stand in that light. I will be better." So what are your thoughts about Matt Striker's comments regarding Matt Riddle? Was he right or wrong for what he said? Do you care about what he said, or did he take it too far? Let me know your thoughts, as always, in the comment section below. Now, one person that's certainly been a controversial figure recently is Chris Jericho, and his next match in All Elite Wrestling has now been revealed. On last night's AEW Collision, an upcoming AEW World Tag Team title match featuring Chris Jericho was announced for next week. After receiving a tepid crowd response during the AEW pay-per-view World's End in Long Island, New York, the next live appearance for Chris Jericho was announced. On last night's Collision, in a backstage segment, Ricky Starks spoke about his upcoming first-time ever singles match against Sammy Guevara. On the upcoming AEW Dynamite Homecoming edition, the pair of homegrown talent will go one-on-one for the first time in AEW at Daily's Place. However, that doesn't mean the tag team champions have forgotten about their pending title defense against Guevara and Chris Jericho. During Big Bill's turn with the microphone, he noted that the champions were challenging Guevara and Jericho for next week's Battle of the Bout special, airing immediately after the episode of Collision on January 13. The match will be a street fight for the AEW Tag Team titles in Norfolk, Virginia. However, Chris Jericho's name, when mentioned by Big Bill, once again, like it did at World's End, drew a negative response from the crowd. Here's what happened.
Salute Ricky Starks and Big Bill defending against Sammy Guevara and Chris Jericho in a street fight.
But what do you think of this negative reaction? Is it fair? Is it right? Are the crowd right to boo Jericho? Let me know your thoughts about this as well. Now, Ric Flair was also on last night's episode of AEW Collision. He returned to AEW and made his Saturday Collision debut in Charlotte, North Carolina. If there's one thing Ric Flair is not a stranger to, it's a professional wrestling show on Saturday night in Charlotte. Flair kicked off the January 6th episode of AEW Saturday Collision and accompanied Darby Allin and Sting to the ring for their match against the Workhorsemen. Flair watched from ringside as Sting scored the pinfall victory following a Scorpion Death Drop onto JD Drake. This is all en route to Sting's last match taking place on March 3rd at AEW Revolution in Greensboro, North Carolina. Sting and Darby Allin will face Konosuke Takeshita and Powerhouse Hobbs on the January 10th episode of AEW Dynamite. Later on in the evening, Flair cut a promo alongside Sting and Darby ahead of their match on January 10. Now, it's not known yet who will take part in Sting's last match. He has said in the past that he wanted it to be a tag team match alongside Darby Allin. However, as of right now, that's yet to be confirmed. Now, last night on Collision, we also saw Adam Copeland have an impromptu first-time ever match against Griff Garrison. Now, Adam Copeland was not in a good mood at this week's AEW Collision after being robbed of a huge win at last week's World End pay-per-view. The Rated R superstar went to battle against his former best friend Christian Cage for the TNT Championship in a no disqualification match. Now, while he did defeat Cage for the title, a little assist from Killswitch, who had won a TNT Championship opportunity earlier on in the evening, helped Christian win back the title in mere seconds. Copeland addressed his loss this week on Collision, stating that he was ready to earn another title shot starting from scratch. However, he found himself interrupted by the arrival of Maria Kanellis, Cole Carter, and Griff Garrison. A verbal back and forth led to an impromptu match between Garrison and Copeland, a match that the former WWE champion always wanted to have, seeing vast potential in Griff Garrison as a rising star. Adam Copeland put in a valiant effort despite being pitting against the numbers game of Kanellis and Carter looming ringside. Despite almost beating him for the victory during the closing moments, Griff Garrison found himself hit with multiple headbutts by Copeland, who ended the bout by making the 6'3" tap out to the crossface. Moreover, he even fled off a post-match assault from Cole Carter, nailing him with a thunderous spear. With Copeland giving back some momentum following his loss last week, it could be interesting to see how he builds his way back to getting another TNT Championship match against Christian Cage in the future. Speaking of titles, Eddie Kingston successfully defended his AEW Continental Crown title last night. Just 1 week ago, Eddie Kingston defeated Jon Moxley at the World's End pay-per-view event to capture the AEW Continental Crown title in a hard-hitting tournament final match. Last night in Charlotte, North Carolina on Collision, Kingston made his first defense of the newly created championship against a wrestler he'd never faced in AEW singles competition before, that being Trent Beretta. In recent years, Beretta has been focusing more on tag team wrestling with his best friend's partner Chuck Taylor. However, that hasn't prevented Beretta from challenging for the New Japan Pro Wrestling Never Openweight Championship, the Ring of Honor Pure Championship, and the AEW TNT Championship over the last 2 months alone. With the new Continental Crown Championship on the line, Beretta and Kingston met in the second bout of the evening. The match started with Beretta hitting Kingston with forearms, while Kingston responded with chops. At one point, Kingston chopped Beretta in the face, which resulted in Beretta bleeding from the bridge of the nose and into the corners of his eyes. Nevertheless, Beretta continued to fight hard, with his visibly concerned mother watching from the front row. Beretta connected with a powerbomb but only got a 2 count. Later, Beretta hit a trio of German suplexes and followed it up with a running knee to Kingston's face and a pile driver, but again was only able to get the 2 count. Soon after, Kingston once again took control of the bout, hitting an exploder suplex and a Northern Lights bomb to get the 2 count. With momentum on his side, Kingston hit another Northern Lights and finally won the bout. Now, we may know who Samo Jo's first challenger for the AEW World Championship is, and it could be Hook. Now, this once again came from last night's episode of AEW Collision. On last night's episode of the show, in a vignette, Samo Jo was challenged by a current champion who noted he's coming for him. An interesting vignette featuring FTW champion Hook aired on the show, where he issued a big challenge. Calling his shot, Hook said that there was a champion he had his eye on for most of his life due to personal connections. Going on to call out the AEW World Champion Samo Jo, Hook was certainly aiming for the top of the mountain. So, possibly we could see Hook versus Joe in the future. What are your thoughts on Hook possibly challenging for the AEW World title? Finally, we saw a 10-bow salute for former AEW World Tag Team Champions FTR last night. Now, to end last night's episode of Collision, a 10-bow salute typically reserved for memorials, this time to honor a severe beatdown. While there was a grudge match in the main event of the show went off the air with a haunting tone. While the main event saw FTR take on the House of Black, that being Malachi Black and Buddy Matthews, the match would nearly end in pandemonium. With Dax Harwood's wife and younger daughter at ringside and continually referenced and shown throughout the match, the stakes were high for FTR. When Brody King appeared seemingly poised to interfere, instead, Daniel Garcia ran out to intercept and attack King himself. Then, remaining at ringside to encourage FTR and celebrate with them after their eventual win, no good deed would go unpunished. While FTR was able to hit the Shatter Machine and pick up the victory in the match, their celebration was very short-lived as they were attacked from behind by Brody King and eventually all of the House of Black. With Malachi Black attacking Dax Harwood after the match in front of his family, at first ringing the bell went slightly unnoticed until it became clear it wasn't just the timekeeper. Julia Hart from the House of Black had commandeered the hammer and proceeded to hit a 10-bow salute on behalf of FTR and Daniel Garcia, who were left laid out to end AEW Collision at the hands of the Dark Faction. But there you go, guys. This latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe bottom right-hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.